Fiona, and I want to thank you for joining me today for another beading tutorial. I have been gone for a couple months, not made a tutorial in that time for a couple reasons. My camcorder broke, that was probably the biggest reason. It took me a while to research and choose another one. I know that my old one didn't produce really high quality videos, so I'm hoping that this one will be much better. So thanks for hanging in there with me. You know, in addition to that, it was Christmas and I had a holiday show and just lots of stuff going on, but I'm really glad to be back, and I hope to bring you some quite a few new beading tutorials this year. I'm going to try a couple new things this year, and I hope to share them with you. Among them, I'm going to begin doing some bead embroidery. I hope to be doing more sculptural peyote, just a whole bunch of stuff. The longer I bead, the more I love it, and the more things there seem to be that I can do with it. And it's just very exciting to me, and I love having something in my life like that continually pushes me to grow and learn and do more. So thanks for watching. I recently found out that I now have 1,000 subscribers, which is really exciting to me and something I never in my life imagined. So I hope that I can bring you higher quality videos now and continue sharing with you what I love to do. So here's today's tutorial. Thanks again. Today's project is this necklace. It's called Midnight because the original one was black. It's interesting because it is almost entirely made out of crystals. Crystal rounds, faceted crystal rounds, bicones, and these drop crystals down at the bottom. And the only other beads in the piece are seed beads, 11/0 seed beads that kind of go in between each of the crystal components. It's basically right angle weave. It's a pretty easy piece actually, since it is just straight right angle weave. And so even if you're a beginner, if you know how to do right angle weave, I think this should be something you should be able to do. One correction I want to make, I noticed in going through the video that I kept calling these faceted rounds rondelles, and they're not. So excuse me, I don't know how I got hooked on the word rondelle, but they are rounds, not rondelles. So let's get started on this piece and see what happens. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to need for this project. I am making it in, well, I think of it as kind of a ruby color, although the actual name of all of these crystals is cyan. These are also all Preciosa crystals. It happened a bead store was having closeout sale, and so I got them all in Preciosa. First off, we have 5mm bicones, and then next, these are little drop pendants, 10mm, and I'm going to show you in a moment some other things you can also use. Here we have 8mm crystal round beads, so these are faceted round beads. I used a lot more of these in the black version I made, but as this was a closeout sale, I wasn't able to get as many of these as I wanted, so I did some substituting for some of the steps using the smaller 5mm. In addition to that, you will need some matching 11/0 seed beads. These are just opaque red round Japanese seed beads. And then this is a box clasp in gunmetal that I'm going to use this time. In the black version, I used something quite different. Let me show you that. As you can see here, I used a button and loop closure, which I really liked. But what I discovered when I went to do this project today is I do not have a red button that is suitable. So you can use whatever you happen to have that sounds good. I decided that this sort of innocuous but kind of elegant looking little box clasp would do nicely. And since it is quite dark, it should match up pretty well and look nice with it. In addition to that, as always, we'll need a beading needle. I usually use a size 11. This one's getting a little bent. And then I am going to use Fireline. You can use, of course, your beading thread of choice. But I'm using an 8-pound Fireline in the smoke color. And the reason I'm doing that is that there's a lot of variation in the size of the beads and the size of the holes. And it is easy for the work to get a little too loose because you are using some larger beads. So I think the 8-pound will help in keeping everything a little bit tighter. All right, that is all you need. Next up, we're going to start the necklace. This is the original Midnight necklace, and I wanted to show you the difference between what I'm going to make today and what I originally made, based on the availability of the 8mm rounds, faceted rounds that I could get. So in this original one, you can see that in the ending there are 3 of the 8mm, and then clear across the whole necklace, the center is always 8mm. Now, since I wasn't able to get as many of the Siam round faceted beads that I had used in the black version here, what I am going to be showing you today, I will be using the 5mm instead of the 8mm here at the beginning, and then clear down to where the drops begin. So all of this will be 5mm instead of having the larger 8mm. You can make it either way. See which one you like, and I think it'll turn out fine either way. It's just a bit of a different look. To begin, I am going to put on the clasp. So I'm going to pick up 3 of the number 11, and then I'm going to go through the clasp and pull all that down to the end, being careful not to let them slide off the end. Alright, so I'm just going to hold on to this, but you can certainly put a stop bead or something down at the bottom to keep them from falling off. Now I'm going to pick up another 3 of the number 11 beads. And now I am going to go back through everything. So back through the number 11s and the end of the clasp. Get myself untangled here. Okay, and then I'm going to come back down through the other 3 11s. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a knot here, and then I will come back later and I'll tie this off. But for now, I'll know that the end is secure. It's also kind of nice having this because it gives you something to hang on to at the beginning when there isn't a lot to hang on to. Alright, so now I am going to pick up the following beads. A bicone, a 5mm rondelle. Boy, and these are so dark you cannot see even where the hole is. There we go. Okay, sorry, I had to go off camera there for a moment to find the little hole. All right, and then another bicone, and then another rondelle, and then a bicone, and a rondelle. Okay, so this is what we'll have, and we'll just draw that down to the end. And so this will be what you have. All right, now we're going to begin the second part, and that is, I'll show you on the original here. Okay, so we've done this part. Now we're going to start on this part, and it is here that the right angle weave will begin. But first we've got to put on this attachment that of seed beads that kind of widens out the scope of the necklace. Next, I'm going to pick up 5 more of the number 11s, and then one of the rondelles, and now another 5 of the number 11s. And bring all this down to the bottom of your thread. Okay, now we are going to make this end part. We're going to actually make kind of, trying to show here without actually doing it, we're going to kind of loop back around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through the first 5 seed beads. I'm trying to leave it laying here to show you more clearly, but I'm not sure that I am making it clear. All right, so this is what we have, and then just for some security, I'm actually going to go back through everything. So I'm here, and I'm going to go back, pull this tight, and then I'm going to go back through the first 5. This thread just really wants to have a knot in it, if it could just figure out how. Okay, so I'm going to go back down through these 5. Pull it tight. And now I am going to go back through the 5mm rondelle again. Let me get in a little closer here so you can see this better. All right, so here's our tail, and here's the end, and now we have started the second section. So this is where our right angle weave is going to begin. So let me back out a little bit. Now I'm going to pick up 2 of the number 11s. I'm going to pick up a bicone, 2 more number 11s. I'm going to pick up a 5mm and 2 number 11s. Then I'm going to pick up the last of the rondelles. Those are really dark. I mean, I literally have to pick them up and bring them very close to find the hole. And now the last 2 of the number 11s. So this is what you'll have on your needle. And even though there are more than 3 beads here, it still is very much right angle weave, because it's it can be 4 beads or 4 groups of beads. And of course the first of the beads we already have because it's right here. So from now on we're only going to be picking up 3 beads. Okay, so to complete this, I am going to go back up through the 5mm that we put on in the last step. All right, so there we are. Now, I want to mention something here. There's going to be a reversal on every other step as far as the bottom 5mm and the top bicone, so that they're going to switch places with each of these steps. So now I am going to go through, back through the bicone and the seed beads next to it. I got my tail caught. And now, as we do on right angle weave, I'm now going to go up through kind of the connector one, the one in the middle. So now my thread is coming out here, which is perfectly positioned to make our next right angle weave segment. So I'm again going to pick up, let me put some of these 11s out here, so a little easier to grab. Alright, so I'm going to pick up 2 of the number 11s, and now I need to look at what comes next, because remember I told you these were going to switch with each segment. So since it's on top here, it's going to be in the bottom down here. So that means that I pick up the bicone next, and then 2 more number 11s. And now it's time for a rondelle. 2 more 11s. And the other rondelle, and the last 2 number 11s. Okay, so that's what's on the needle. Pull it down to the end, and I'm double checking, make sure that my bicone is in the opposite place now, and now I'm going to come down through the rondelle, and pull it as tight as I can, and then go back through 2 11s, the bicone, 2 11s, and the rondelle. I do want to mention here something I've noticed with this necklace. It is very easy to get your tension too loose. As I said, these are, for the most part, other than the 11s, they're larger beads. And so kind of keeping track of your tension is really important. Okay, just give it a tug and see if you can keep it as tight as you can. All right, so we're just going to continue doing this. I will do it again to show you another one. 2 of the number 11s. Now in this one, the bottom is going to be a bicone again. So I'm going to get one of the bicones over here. And 2 more 11s. Now I need a couple of the 5mm rounds. There's the hole. Okay, so 2 more of the 11s. The last rondelle and 2 more 11s. Bring it all down to the bottom. double check, make sure my bicone is in the opposite placement from the last one. And now I'm going to go up through the last 5 millimeter from the previous step. I'm going to flip it over and go back up through 2 number 11s, the bicone, another 2 11s, and the round. Pull it tight. All right. So now I have done with you 1, 2, 3 of these. We need a total of 6. So do another 3 of them and then come back and we'll do the next part. Okay, here I have finished 6 of the repeats. Now I'm going to do a final one, number 7, and then we will start with the center part of the necklace, which has the these, the little drops. All right, so my last one, my bicone is on the bottom, and I'm coming out the top, so bicone is going to be the first crystal that I put on. So 2 of the 11-O's and bicone, and now I'm going to put on the 2 5 millimeter rondelles with 2 number 11s in between. Oops, skipped up too many of them. All right, so this is the last one. And now I'm going to go back through 2 11s, the bicone, 2 11s, and one of the rondelles. I'm going to pull it all tight. Okay, now for our next, what we do next, let's see, what am I coming out of? I am going to turn all of this over so that I'm coming out of the bottom here. So now I am going to do the same thing, but a little bit differently. So we're going to pick up, as always, 2 11s. Now this is going to be for the bottom of the piece, and so I am going to pick up one of these 10 millimeter drop beads, find the hole in it. Okay, I'm going to pull this down just to kind of show you. Alright, so that's the bottom. Now we're going to pick up the 2 number 11s. And now we're going to be doing the center bead, and for this middle section, the center bead is going to be larger. It's going to be the 8 millimeter. So we put that on. 2 more number 11s. Now I want you to look back at what we did last time, okay? So we have the drop bead and the number 8. And so now we need to figure out what needs to go up at the top here. Now this one was a bicone. So for the next one, we need to put in a rondelle. And 2 more number 11s. So we're using a couple different beads here, but we're doing exactly the same process. And now I'm going to go through the middle crystal from the last one And so this is what we have. Okay, so now we're going to go up through 2 11s and the drop crystal and 2 more 11s and the number 8. And then we'll pull everything tight, and then I'll show you what we've got. I just had a reminder of something very important when you're working with a lot of crystals like this. My thread broke. That doesn't happen very often, but then I thought about it. I'm working with a lot of really sharp crystals here. So what I'm going to recommend, what I did previously and forgot this time, was that I am actually, even though I'm using 8-pound thread, which obviously was not enough, I am going to go through each one of these 2.5 times. You have to go through one time and then another half time to come back out where you need to be. So I'm just adding another rotation to that with each one of the right angle weed segments that I'm doing. You could also go ahead and just do the whole necklace and then go back through everything if you want, however you would prefer. But yeah, I was really amiss in not saying that that's what you should do, and I paid for it. My thread broke. So anyway, back to where we were at. Okay, here we are. This is the first round of the middle segment of the necklace. So we have our drop bead at the bottom, and we have our 8mm over here. So now we're going to do another segment, and this one will not have a drop bead at the bottom. It will just have another one of the beads we were using before. So let me get started with this. So as we did before, I'm going to pick up 2 of the 11s. This one has a round at the top. So for this one, I'm going to need to have a bicone at the top. So I am going to pick up one of the 5mm faceted rounds for the bottom, and then 2 more number 11s. Then I am going to pick up an 8mm faceted round, 2 more number 11s, and now I am going to push those down a little bit, pick up the bicone, and 2 more number 11s. And now we are going to go down through the 8mm from the previous segment. Okay, and so now I am going to go around the whole segment again. This will also help. It also helps keep it tighter, in addition to helping protect against those sharp edges. We'll flip it here. Go back down through the 8mm. Okay, now all I have to do is one more time come through these beads so that I'm coming out of this one. Give it a tug. Okay, so here we are. Now our next segment is going to again have a crystal drop bead at the bottom. So I need to look at what I need this time. I have a bicone at the top, so I'm going to pick up a rondelle this time to be at the top. 2 more 11s, and now we're going to put in our next 8mm round, 2 more 11s. Pull those all down, and you can see what we have now. Need now is our drop bead, and pull that down. And then we just need to pick up 2 more number 11s and bring them down. Okay, and now we're going to go back up the 8mm from the previous round. And then we take a look at it and make sure we've got all the right beads here. Okay, I have the 8 in the middle, and I have the drop bead at the bottom, and I have a round here because we have a bicone here. So I've done it correctly. And now I am going to again go back through all of those beads. The 11s here should help. You know, that's often recommended when you're using crystals, is to put seed beads in between to help protect the thread from getting cut. But that did not save me from the little accident I just had. Alright, so now I just need to come through these beads so that I'm coming out, trying not to turn this upside down so I can keep it all the same way for you, but I just cannot bead that way. Okay, down through the 5mm, and through the 8mm. I'm going to turn it back to the way it was so that you can see it a little better. Alright, now we are going to do in the next segment, okay, we had a drop bead here, so the next one's not going to. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to pick up 2 number 11s, and we have a 5mm round up here, so we want to have the 5mm on the bottom here, so we're going to pick that up, 2 more 11s, an 8mm, 2 more 11s, a bicone, and 2 more 11s. Let's pull all these down, make sure we've got everything in the right order. Alright, so we have the round 5mm round the bottom, the 8mm round on the side, and a bicone at the top. So that looks right. So now I'm going to come down through, get my thread out of the way here. I am going to come down through the previous 8mm. And there we go. So now I'm going to go back through all those beads again. tight, and now I'm going to work my way over to where I need to be to start the next segment. Okay, and that is really all you need for the middle segment. Now, I'm going to go off camera and make the rest of this middle segment. You will use a total of 11 of these, and that's how you'll know when you finish that middle segment, because you'll have 11 of these, the drop pendants. Okay, so you're just going to do the same thing each time. Just remember that you're always going to use the 8s in the middle, and your top and bottom are going to alternate, and every other one is going to have the drop pendant. Alright, so come back once I have finished this section. I have finished putting on the last of the 11 drop pendants for the bottom. So now I am ready to repeat what we did on the first side. And that involves using the Bicones and the 5mm rondelles. So we are all done with the larger 8mm rondelles and the drop pendants. So coming out of the last one that had the drop pendant in it, coming out downward. So now I'm going to look at what I'm going to use now. Okay, there is a 5mm up here. So down here, we're going to be putting in a bicone. So let me zoom in a bit here. So I'm going to pick up 2 11s, the bicone, 2 more 11s, and a 5mm rondelle, 2 more 11s, and another, get rid of these, 5mm rondelle, and last 2 more 11s. Bring it all down to the bottom, and then come down, pull tight. And so now I'm going to go back through all of these and then back down at the bottom and come out at this one. And we're going to repeat this stitch 7 times. So when you've completed that, come back and we'll talk about the last segment. Okay, so I have now put on the 7 segments along here. So now we are at, I'll show you on the other end, at this place right here. Line them up. So, yeah, line up. There we go. So now I'm going to add on these number 11s here, and then we're going to do the... So now we're going to pick up 5 of the number 11s, and then we're going to pick up our string of crystals for the end. So we're going to start with a 5mm. And we're just going to go kind of every other one. And then a bicone. And another 5mm. Bicone. 5mm. And a bicone. So this is what you'll have. Now we are going to put on the other side of the clasp. And I know this looks kind of funny because this is all unfinished here, but what we're going to do after we put on the clasp, we're going to come down, put on the other 5 beads, and then come back up, and that will reinforce everything. Now, to put on the clasp, you have to make sure you're going the right way. I've done this wrong before. So I am going to, let me back out here. All right. So here is the other end. So I'm going to put it up like this, and I'm making sure the whole necklace is straight. And, sorry, this is a little awkward. Okay, so now I've picked up the other half. I'm going to pull it down to the end. And now what I've got to do is make sure that it's facing the right way. If you're using something like a toggle clasp or a button and loop, you won't have to worry about this. All right, so this is the way it should go. And sometimes I even do this as kind of a cool little hack. I just put it together, and that way I know for sure that it's going to work the way I have it. I stretch the whole necklace out, make sure that it's straight. And now I'm going to, actually I think I'm going to go back out of here for a moment, and I'm going to pick up just one number 11 seed bead, and then go back through. And pick up another 11. This I think will give just a little bit of cushioning between the 2 parts, and we'll make sure that this crystal sharp edge isn't right on the thread. Okay, so now I'm going to go down through everything on the end here. So I'm going to go through all the rondelles and the bicones and keep everything tight. And I'm going to go through the last bicone and rondelle. And now I'm going to add on, I'll go in a little closer for this. Now I'm going to add on the other 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Now I'm going to bring them down to the end. I'm just double checking these. Yep, I had one too many. So I'm going to bring those down to the end. And now I'm going to circle back through this 5mm rondelle. And now I'm going to go back up this side down the whole length. So that'll put 2 passes of thread through everything. You can, if you want to, you can just go through 1 bead at a time, a couple beads at a time, however you are most comfortable. Now I'm going to go back up through the 11 at the end, then down through, get my thread out of the way so you can see a little better, down through the second part of the box clasp, continually tightening everything, and then down through the other number 11 on the other side of the clasp. Now I'm going to do that again, but I'm just going to go through the end here, because I want to do this at least 3 times. Through the 11 and through the end of the clasp. Tight, then down through the 11 on the other side. So this is what you'll have. At this point, now what I'm going to do is go down, and turn this around so I can get to it a little better. I'm going to go back down through a couple of the crystals, and then I'm just going to do a knot, go through a couple more, do another knot, keep doing that, and then eventually just go through a few more beads and then tie off. So let me do that, and then I'll come back and we'll get things finished up. Okay, so here is the entirety of the finished necklace. You can see what it looks like. I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. I wasn't sure using the 8mm right here, the faceted rounds, and then using the smaller beads, the 5mm for the rest of it, but I like the way it turned out. It's just a little bit more delicate looking. Let me show you the other one. Here's the original version, and not only does this have the full 8mm beads going down the middle all the way out, but it also has larger drops down here. So this, it does look a little bit different, and it's definitely more chunky, but I like both of them. I think it works well. I also wanted to give you some examples of different beads that you could use, particularly for the drop beads. So here you see a couple of different things, and here are, I made one early on that I've sold now, and it had these stone drops at the bottom. So these were smaller. And then here's another one, a little bit larger. This is sort of a faceted bead, and here's one that's about the same size as this, but this one is also faceted. So if you use one of these that have the hole going vertically like this, what you're going to do is you're just going to take a small bead, 11 or 15, and go down through the bead and then through the 11 or 15, and then going back up. So that will, if you have a bead that's drilled lengthwise instead of one with a hole just through the top, that's what you would do. All right, so that's very, very nice. I'm thinking maybe I should make some earrings to go with this. That's quite pretty. See if I have enough beads left to be able to do it. This is, it's very shiny and sparkly, but yet it's a little bit understated, you know. It's, I think, partially because all the beads are the same color, and it just looks very nice. So, thank you for joining me again for another tutorial, and now that I have another camcorder, I hope to be able to make one of these every couple weeks. So, thanks again, and I enjoyed spending some time with you. Take care. Goodbye.